Hello, beautiful people. It is April 6th on a sunny Sunday in Houston, Texas, where I just decided to do another video because, I don't know, I like recording because you never know when something will happen. Honestly, the next day is not promised for any of us. And I was just recently talking to a friend about a dear friend of hers and my cousin who passed away. Now, his name was Ernest Bay. And, well, I'd like to clear up some things about him. Well, for the most part, let me explain to you what I think they did when they killed him. Now, Ernest, what I do know is he claimed that he was poisoned somewhere, I guess, in China or an Asian country. Don't remember specifics, but it was an old Chinese remedy that saved his life. And this was 3 months after we met. Everyone was worried that he died or that he was sick. Took him about a month to recover. Then he came back. He stayed for about 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Then he said he was going to retire. So then he disappeared from Facebook. Nobody heard from him. He just disappeared. So let me tell you what I actually think happened during that time period. I actually think that they killed Ernest Bay. The first time when he said he was poisoned, he didn't survive. And what they actually did was they replaced him with probably a clone they had been grooming, a government agent, because Ernest Bay was senior administrator of the 5-Star Trust at the time when they tried to kill him. That is the bank of the CIA. That is actually too much power for any man to have. He was on the Trilateral Commission. He was a man that stood up for what he believed and also Aboriginal rights. And because he knew the law and he knew that no European law bounded him to anything, which is true because he's an Aboriginal. And he can prove his sovereignty throughout the world. Now, what I want you to understand is he's my fourth cousin from my mother's Moor side of the family. So, basically what I truthfully think they did is they killed him when they said he poisoned him. Then he stayed on Facebook to basically, weed out some contacts and to probably get some account information so the Rothschilds could completely take over all his money and have his Sith do the same and invade his family. So he disappeared for almost, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2. Nobody heard from him, and then he came back. But after he came back, it just wasn't right, and then he changed his name to Ernest Rothschild, which is he spelled it Rauthschilds, which the German pronunciation of Rothschilds is spelled Rothschilds. So, anyways, from studying about this, it's turns out that the German Nazi Rothschilds just basically stole the name from the original sovereign family. But that really doesn't matter at this point. The point is his death and what they did, that he came back, and a lot of his friends were complaining about his posts, his attitude, things like this. It just didn't seem like him. I just got I just got told that another close friend sent him some very good business investments, and it was very strange because they were sure when a lot of money could have been made, and that's very strange for Ernest not to do anything about it. So I explained to her what I had figured out and what they had done. And so after I exposed what they had did, what the CIA, what the Rothschilds had did to Ernest Bey on Ernest Bey's own Facebook page, they just disappeared. The funny thing is, the Rothschild's last post was after I made the post about Obama and the Montauk Project. Ernest Bey quit posting after that. So, let me explain to you exactly what the Montauk Project is, and how once I got wind of that, whoever was impersonating Mr. Bey, they knew the gig was up. Because they knew once I started looking into Project Montauk, I would be able to figure out exactly what they had done. Now, Project Montauk, and I will post the videos up under this video so you can watch them yourself. It's so you just don't have to go on my word. You can listen to other people that say they were part of the project, other people's fathers that were on the Philadelphia experiment, the Philadelphia Experiment Project. Now, one of the most disturbing things that they reveal is that our government, the U.S. government, has had a time machine since 1947. Since the Philadelphia Project. And it's based off what Nikola Tesla did but did not finish because he didn't like what they were doing with the project. And he wanted to really try to do a good job and make sure things were accurate and people wouldn't get hurt and his technology wouldn't be used or perverted. So Nikola Tesla actually was the first person to work on the Philadelphia Project. But then, they fired him. So that's one thing most people don't know about Tesla. So Tesla was free energy, and Tesla actually built the first working time machine, but they didn't know it was a time machine at the time. It took the scientists and other people that came after Tesla to figure out what it was and what they could do with it besides making a ship invisible to radar. That's initially what the Philadelphia Project was about. It was about making something being cloaked. But Nikola Tesla was on the verge of something completely different. Now, when you watch the Philadelphia Project, the movie, basically in a nutshell, you see a ship disappearing from one time to another time. So supposedly that time was 1948. So that's a year after Nikola Tesla supposedly, left the project. So what people have actually hypothesized was 1948 and 1984, There were two parallel rifts created between these times, and the people from 1948 showed up in 1984. And this is one of the government's biggest secrets. So after this happened, they started to look at this capability of time travel. Now, I know I was talking about Ernest Bay, but I really want you to understand fully this concept, whether it is true or not. The fact is, there was a real Philadelphia project. That's a fact. The fact is, there was a real Project Montauk. These are facts. The facts are that we, the American public, are not told about these black programs and these blackout programs. Another fact is that I grew up with a relocated son of a Nazi in Spring Branch, Texas. My friend Chris was raped by his father. His father was the son of a relocated Nazi scientist, worked at NASA, and Chris's father worked at NASA until my mother exposed to her friends around the neighborhood that Chris's father was beating and raping him. And this is why this young little blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid had to stay at an Afro-American home because none of the other white parents would help him in this rich neighborhood. We lived in a very rich neighborhood, but we lived in the neighborhood that wasn't so wealthy, where the people that worked for all these rich people would live. So in my videos, the replacements, I more than cover all of this, so you can go back and listen to them. They're on my channel. The replacements 1, 2, and 3, I get more in depth into Chris and expose what they did in the neighborhood where I lived, what the rich Freemasons working for the CIA and the government did to suppress me and did to suppress a fucking relocated Nazi scientist. Now, I really want you to understand about Ernest Bay, Project Montauk, and my past having to deal with Nazis relocated to the United States and us being both Aboriginal blood. Now, these Nazis, number one fact, the United States opened their doors to these Luciferian evil motherfuckers for one main specific reason. They had a problem. They had a big problem. It's called the truth. What America has done is lied to the Afro-American public with the Emancipation Proclamation mainly, and then implemented the straw man bond on all of America and enslaved all Americans after the second stock market crash orchestrated by the Rothschilds. Now, what I really want you to get a clear picture of is basically the Moors, the sovereign people, were making more and more people aware of this. Ernest Bay was a sovereign Moor. He was one of the best financial wizards, top 5 in the world, one of the richest men in the world. He was so good at investing money, the CIA hired him, and I say them because it's his organization, hired him to help them invest their black money. Ernest Bay did this. He was really open about telling people how to do this. He even wrote notes on black banking. I call it black banking because it's black money being laundered and turned into clean money. He explains how he did this and had to do this for the Five-Star Trust. He exposed their Nazi shit. So what I really want you to get a clear picture of is why they killed one of the top 5 richest people in the world. Because ain't nobody heard from him after I posted the Project Montauk and Obama being involved in that shit on his wall on Facebook because he was being impersonated. So what I really want to help you understand is how they kill innocent people of sovereign blood, sometimes replace them, but when the gig's up, it doesn't matter, poof, they're gone. He's been dead. This specific same thing has been being done to my family. Happened a long time ago. Some people were replaced. Just like Ernest Bay, because I suspect he was killed a long time ago when I was living in Romania. After my girlfriend came up missing, when we really started to take it to the Rothschilds with the truth. And they couldn't stand it. He was exposing what they did. I was exposing what they did because we're sovereign and it's our blood right. Because we are not bound by their goddamn bullshit Luciferian laws. We were on this land and throughout Europe and Canada way before these goddamn Ashkenazi, lying-ass, Luciferian, heathenistic pedophiles weren't even an organization. So the reason why I really want you to understand is why America opened their doors to these fucking Nazis is because they had a problem. They had a problem with the sovereign people and even the Indian people waking up and figuring out that they are not bound by their fucking laws. The fact of the matter is these goddamn European fucking Ashkenazi Nazis are bound by our laws. Our God-given rightful laws, because we were on this land before them and our people never signed treaties with them. Our people were the people that were warring with the Indians. Because our people were here when the Indians came and they migrated from India when they came to the Americas. And this is some history for you Latins that are actually descendants of Europeans. And you walk around speaking Spanish. That's not your tongue. That's from Spain. We all know what the Spanish did throughout the world and throughout Americas. So for you Latins, you're claiming, European lineage. You're speaking their tongue. The same as me. The tongue I'm speaking right now is Germanic in descent. It's not my tongue. They've wiped away our history. They've wiped away our lineage. They've wiped away the truth. Because the United States opened the floodgate for these fucking Nazis. Because Albert Pike paved the way when he started the KKK. And now Afro-Americans, Indians, Spaniards of America, which aren't Spaniards at all. Some of them have sovereign blood. But the Spaniards just came over here and raped everything and started to enslave the Indians and export them to France and Spain. More mixing of the race to make them forget their culture. This is why they wouldn't let Afro sovereign people read or right. The same with Indian slaves. The same with Haitian slaves. The same with African slaves. So they imported slaves, and there were already Afro sovereign slaves here. So they mixed those Afro slaves with African and Haitian slaves and just totally made everyone forget that there were actually Afrocentric sovereign people here on this land before these goddamn Europeans and Indians got off the boat. They were called Moors, first world travelers. This is why Rome went around knocking all the noses off the Sphinx and the statues in Easter Island. Why? Because they were Afrocentric noses. So now what we have in America right now is America is the sickest country in the world. And I do mean literally, technically, and mentally. It's the sickest country. Now, what I really want you to understand is what Ernest Bay showed me, because he was part of the Illuminati and he was pretty open at telling everybody, more so than bullshit Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. They ain't shit. They're just small level fucking peons that sold their soul to the devil, and they make a little bit of fucking money, and now they're pretty open about it, walking around wanting to call their child Christ with a K. Ernest Bay was one of the top 5 richest men in the world, and my 4th cousin. So don't forget about Project Montauk and the time travel. I'm going to get to that. But I want you to really understand why America is so sick. TV. Perfect example. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West announce that they want to call their baby Christ with a K. Blasphemy. Kanye West wears demonic symbolism in his concerts everywhere he goes. I mean, but that's on TV. Is that not sick? Everybody watches that Kim Kardashian bullshit, you know, and when she fucking an evil ass motherfucker and she about to have the devil's baby, and everybody reporting on this, is that not sick? So then let's get into the physical sickness. What we have is the United States is spraying chemtrails and have been for a very long time. And now people are getting really sick. And like I've been trying to tell people in my other videos, that the chemtrails and the stuff that they're spraying in the air and the earth are just half of a plan. The other half of the plan is in our food. Now, Obama just passed the Monsanto's Protection Act. That is an act protecting the most evil company in the world. This is what I have to say to Mr. Obama. Your actions prove how fucking evil you are. Bottom line. If you don't give a fuck about the very food that America eats, when it's been proven that the shit is toxic, they banned it in Canada, they banned it in France, they banned it in several countries in Europe. And then the American president wants to protect this company? After it's been scientifically proven time and time again that the people that run Monsanto's is evil. Monsanto's puts people from its company on the Federal Reserve and the FDA. They go back and forth. It's called the revolving door. So I will actually post that video up under this one. It's called The World According to Monsanto's. It is very, very, very well done. You can't dispute it. So after watching that video, if you don't see the true face of Mr. Obama, you're just fucking stupid. So that man don't give a fuck about our food. So if you don't give a fuck about our food and you're protecting the company that is poisoning our food, you don't give a fuck about the kids. You don't give a fuck about our future. You don't give a fuck about America, period. All you give a fuck about is your demonic ass and money. That's it. And that's clear when he passed the Monsanto's Protection Act, because ain't a goddamn person can tell me he don't know. What, you didn't see the movie The Corporation? I mean, that movie has been around for over, 8 years? And it was Fox reporters that blew the lid off the expose of exposing Monsanto's growth hormones in cattle. If you drink milk in the U.S., stop. Drink soy or almond milk. The milk in the U.S., like the milk in Canada, why Canada doesn't use Monsanto's products at all, is because these reporters that work for Fox in an expose news show, which is not on anymore, they expose that Monsanto's built a growth hormone that you inject your cattle with that makes them produce more milk. The very thing that the U.S. does not need, more milk. We had more than enough before Monsanto's gave us more than what we needed. That's why the U.S. is trying to export this toxic shit, and Canada and Europe and France said, fuck you, Monsanto's. We don't want you to poison our people. But Obama said, it's okay. So basically, what this milk does is it has pus in it from sick cows. You know, when you get sick, people, when you have a cold or when you have built up mucus in your system, what happens? It's called pus. So these cows get overbloated and they're sick, and this pus goes into the milk. And then to make them not die, they're given antibiotics. Antibiotics doesn't cure. It just prolongs the symptoms, and then what do you have to do? Come back, get some more stronger antibiotics. So say you've been doing this to your cows for 5 years, you can't even imagine how strong the antibiotics are. So what we're actually drinking in our milk is poisonous antibiotics, Monsanto's growth hormones, and pus from sick cattle. This was proven over 8 years ago in the documentary The Corporation. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's the truth. So you tell me Mr. Obama and the CIA and the FDA don't know this, but France and Canada and mostly all of Europe, especially Romania, that's where I first saw the movie, they do? So what I really want you to understand is they are poisoning the air that we breathe with chemtrails. If you haven't seen the video, what the heck are they spraying? I'll post that video up under here. Watch it. Scientists actually do test the soil in California, Test the soil in heavily sprayed areas, and you will be astonished what they find. Poison. So they're poisoning the air we breathe. They got Monsanto's poisoning the food. What does poison do? Kills you. Now let me go back to my saying, America is the sickest country in the world. It truthfully is, people. If you look at the ratio, the amount of people who are sick in America compared to other countries, it is double, almost triple the amount of sick people. Not when you get into ratio, I'm just talking about the equivalency of sick people. And this number is rising. So who's making the money, Mr. Obama? Pharmacies, government subsidiary companies. They're all making money while they pull the wool over everyone's eyes. And you go to the grocery store and you buy Monsanto's products. Every grocery store in America, unless they are heavily organic, 80%, 85% of the stuff that they sell is toxic. Monsanto's companies. Companies like Kellogg's, Betty Crocker, Kraft. Ever think how Kraft got its name? Witchcraft. I will post the list up under here with the piece of paper or the picture that tells you the list of companies that use Monsanto's products. It's fucking poison, and I guarantee you most of your kitchen is filled with them. Coke, Pepsi, all of them. All the companies that are mass marketed to us are Monsanto's poison. So Obama knows this, and he don't give a fuck. So now that you get a clear picture of they're literally killing us. Literally. The reason why I really wanted you to understand this fact is because I want you to understand about Ernest Bay and all his money and all his assets, and they just took them. And he worked for the Five-Star Trust. That's the bank of the CIA. The CIA was started by the Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones Nazis. Worship Albert Pike. Bush, Obama, all the Bushes, Cheneys, Monsanto's in general, all Skull and Bones. Bush Sr.'s Skull and Bones name is Magog. You know what Magog means? It's a demonic name. It means bringer of death, war, and pestilence. Let me say that again. Mr. Bush Sr.'s Skull and Bones name, inside the Skull and Bones temple in their secret order, they call him Magog. Magog means bringer of pestilence, death, and war. Is this not what the Bushes have done? Is this not what George Bush Jr. did? Are we not in war right now? Is Monsanto's, their company, not bringing America death? Not bringing this death to the world? Pestilence. What is that? disease, sickness, genocide brought on by pest. What's pest? Bugs. What are they doing? Experimenting on bugs and giving them new diseases to affect America with. The X-Files tried to expose this fact in the movie. But nobody really liked the idea that, America was spending billions and billions of dollars to make these genetic hybrid bees to supposedly infect the public. They wanted it to be aliens. Well, now we're going to get closer back to the beginning of the video, but not quite yet. Let me tell you about aliens. I know a lot about them. I often hear high-pitched frequencies in my head. It's fucking annoying. So I know how I grew up with a NASA Nazi scientist, but never forget the Nazi scientists. They perfected the Bell Project. That is vertical lift. That's basically a UFO. It's 2013. Those NASA Nazi scientists work for NASA. What do you think they work for NASA for? What kind of ships do you think they have? So what I want to point out to you is what they point out in Project Montauk. Some of them say that, yeah, there are aliens, but they wouldn't know if that was some fucking NASA Nazi scientist or some implanted memory to make them think it was aliens. They wouldn't know. They would swear up and down, this really happened. It's called implanted memories, brainwashing, hypnosis, shit that the CIA perfected. So, what I really want you to understand is this possible fact. Would it be so hard to believe that our country basically took in some fucking Nazis and didn't know what the fuck they were taking in? And with the backing of the Freemasons, started by Albert Pike, which was a KKK enthusiast and started the fucking KKK, secretly joined with these Nazis and took over the government and continued these Nazi experiments on the general public in secrecy under the full disclosure of the black programs of the American governments, because nobody really knows who the fuck is running these programs. They just get obscene amounts of money, funding, and nobody knows who runs them. So the bottom line is, I grew up with a relocated son of a fucking Nazi working at NASA. I grew up seeing things in the Texas sky that I couldn't explain. I grew up seeing so much crazy shit, I don't even want to get into it. So, Nazis do nothing but lie. It's their best technique. So another really good technique would be to brainwash the whole fucking public with Hollywood, which they do run, thanks to bullshit motherfuckers like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and Jay-Z and all the other Hollywood stars sucking the dick of Nazis like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, who's actually part of the evil-ass Illuminati 13 bloodline family, which Angela and Brad are related to Bush, so hey, it's a given. So they've been brainwashing the public like movies like Dark Skies, alien abductions, and they call themselves the Greys. Well, I have to say this to the Greys. It's a really gray area that you are in. You know what the gray area is? The gray area is the area between truth and lies. It's in the middle. It's funny that they call them Greys, huh? So, one fact is, we know the government has protected these Nazis. That's a fact. They brought them here. But one thing we don't know is how powerful these Nazis have become and what the fuck they've been doing. It's a fact. It's a scary fact. They didn't just stop. Trust me, I know that. So supposedly they developed a plan to perfect their UFOs, which is 2013. There's no doubt that they did this, but NASA would like us to still believe that, hey, Houston, we have a problem. We're still going into outer space in the space shuttle. But the NASA scientists that they brought over to the United States that worked at NASA didn't do their vertical lift UFO technology. They didn't share that with NASA. No way. Bullshit. Yeah, they did. So then they spread all this bullshit about aliens, crashing here, crashing there. Well, one of the stories is, and it makes a lot of sense, that in Area 51, the UFO crash that, started Area 51, that was built around Area 51, was not alien. Some people speculate it was the Nazi Bell and one of their time travel experiments. And it crashed. So then America got a hold of a Nazi UFO. So then they let the Nazis come back over to the United States. Probably they agreed to show the American scientists and NASA how their UFO worked when they told them, we have the bell. So then the US and the Nazis devised this propaganda machine and aliens. So then you have all these stupid people that follow this bullshit. But the fact of the matter is, one fact is this. Kids are missing. Women are taken. Experiments are being run on American citizens and people throughout the world. Why? Well, let me explain to you this. And it's pretty simple, people. If you yourself are part of an advanced race, have the ability to travel through time and space and all of this stuff and all of the bullshit reasons that they claim the aliens are here experimenting on us, are the very same reasons why the Illuminati is dying. Fact. White power, KKK, Freemason, Barbarian, Illuminatis have been fucking each other for a very long time. What happens when you fuck your cousin? What happens when you fuck your brother or sister and have a kid? Scientifically speaking, you kill your race. Your DNA becomes unfit. You die off. That's a fact, and that's what these fucking Nazis do. Now then when you get into the UFO propaganda, what do they say these Greys are trying to do to their race now? Because in the future, they are dead, basically. Their race started dying off through inbreeding. Sound familiar, Nazis? So basically, what these motherfuckers have done is they told you a big lie based on the truth about them. They are dying off, and they probably went and saw their future, and they're not there. There is no white power. There is no all-white man, because Aryan, even the word, is Arabic in descent. Those are the first Aryans. That's why the Arabic people work with the Bushes. One big happy pedophile family kidnapping women and children, and everybody thinks it's aliens. So another point I'd like to make is this. Experimentation on humans. Who did that the most out of history? Huh? Nazis. In the 80s, and the Freemasons will call it Feast of the Beast, and this is when UFO abductions were like rampant, and all of a sudden these aliens, boom, TV, out in the skies, all of these UFO guys documenting this, all this shit just boom hits the public, and all these stupid people, yeah, been kidnapped, but they're good, they're benevolent, and they're here to help us. This is in the 80s, it's 2013, people. If they were here to help us, and if they were an advanced race, where's the help? Huh? Where's the help? I'm so sick of these so-called alien motherfuckers and all these motherfuckers putting out pictures of Greys and say we're waiting and I'm intelligent and I'm part of the Intergalactic Federation of Light. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. It is called New Age propaganda, and when you get into the whole Reiki movement and the whole New Age movement and the whole Hindu yoga movement, it's all demonic. I mean, they will promote yoga in schools and in gym class and ban prayer and dare you to say a thing about Christ. But yoga's okay? Rome, Hindus. This was the religion that was in Rome before they converted to so-called Christianity after the Hindu pagan Constantine started Christianity because he was losing power to the fish 300 years after he walked. So he incorporated the fish's teachings and paganism, which you have the evil-ass Vatican today that rapes kids. They pass laws to protect pedophiles. The Vatican. Fact. If you're not raping kids, why the fuck would you pass laws to protect people to do it? Huh? Mr. Pope? Where's your action taking actions on pedophile priests? You're probably one yourself. You fucking Jesuit Nazi Freemason. So now I want you to really get a clear picture of what I can see and what I see through my eyes. It's all lies. Hitler was a Jew, a Nazi, Ashkenazi. The motherfuckers that run this are Zionists, not Hebrews. They are propaganda specialists. Bottom line, Nazis come to the United States, perfect vertical lift, and continue to run experiments on humans under the full disclosure of the black programs, and you got Hollywood saying it's aliens. So you get kids to come up missing. Kids like Adam Walsh's kid that was never found. Adam Walsh started America's Most Wanted. That was in the 80s. That was during the Feast of the Beast. Kids. You have the Pope Jesuits passing laws to protect men that claim to be with Christ that rape kids. Project Montauk. One of the things in all of these videos, and it's different men that claim to be part of this project, they were all taken as kids. One of the really most disturbing things that I found out in Project Montauk is the conditioning that they put the kids under. They say that the amount of kids that are taken under Project Montauk, which is still going on today, is in the millions a year. So in a nutshell, what they perfected doing is this. Now these Nazis, through experimentation on humans, figured out that humans are more receptive to psychological programming, and the most open to psychological programming, guess when? I'll give you a few minutes to think about it. Psych. Orgasm. Think about it. Now think about society. It makes a lot of sense. How much money do men spend on trying to get pussy? How far has a man gone to control a woman just because he likes having sex with her, controlling her? When we're having sex, what do we only think about getting to that point of orgasm? So, this makes a lot of sense. But the thing in Project Montauk, the really disturbing thing is what they figured out is that women absorb energy. Men put out energy. So within this fact, when you open up a man and he is open and he's putting out energy, what happens if you develop a method that you can insert something when he's completely open? This is what the Nazis did. Now, from what I learned in Project Montauk, they explained this process. They explained it as this process having something to do with the male and anal orgasms. Orgasms that are brought about through the ass. Now, basically, I've done reading on this, and from what I learned, there is a way that a male does have a gland that can cause you to have multiple orgasms, but it's through your fucking ass. So this is a fact, and it's disgusting. So, Basically, what the Nazis figured out was this. This is what they've been doing to kids. They take a kid and they hook him up to a machine that is specially made for this, to keep that kid in a point of orgasm, because everyone knows a child's mind is like a sponge. So basically what I want you to understand is this is what the Nazis have been doing to the kids and people. But then they put up movies in Hollywood for people that are getting their memories back, and then after an alien abduction that have a pain in their ass. And then you have shows like South Park that made a whole cartoon with aliens abducting Cartman, and then all of this shit coming out his ass. All this alien shit. So if they want you to literally believe this advanced race has come back through time and started running experiments on us, doing anal probing and putting microchips in us to keep track of us? Does that sound advanced to you people? The fact of the matter is, the microchips that they are putting under your skin are made by IBM and have been made by IBM. They're called radio frequency identifier chips. Now IBM, through their subsidiary companies, are becoming public with it. IBM was the company that soulfully is responsible for the reason that the Hebrews that got killed, they're solely responsible for the tattoos. What I mean is, IBM was the company that made and designed the machines that the Nazis kept track of all the prisoners. They designed a machine that was hole punch based. Say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going down and 10 going lateral. So specific holes were punched in between, say, 5, 4, 2, and 3. And these specifically meant things and where these slaves would be sent and keeping track of them. And this was all done by sticking a card into a hole punch machine where the machine could read where the holes had been punched, and it just made things a lot easier. This was an IBM machine. In Germany, Nazis. So IBM makes the RDIF chip. Okay, people? So now they're talking about chipping us and putting our credit on there, having it be our main source of buying anything, our main source of being tracked, our main source of getting in our homes with digital keys and starting our cars. This is their future. But throughout the 80s and 90s and 2000, they've been pumping down your throat, it's aliens. But clearly it's not. Because these are not advanced techniques if you're psychic, right? If you're telepathic. Telepathy has no bounds. You can shoot your thoughts to fucking Mars in seconds. There was an experiment that was being run with the NASA first astronauts that they talk about with scientists, where they wanted to know if their thoughts could be picked up on the moon. This experiment proved that yes, they could. So if they knew this at NASA, and these were thoughts being picked up without the RDIF chip, this is our natural ability. So the Nazis had to develop something to keep control of this. One of the stories that I'd like you to remember is the Towers of Babel. Do you remember that story in the Bible? When the so-called angels in heaven came down under God's orders and brainwashed us and made us forget that we could communicate and have a direct connection with God. That's what the Tower of Babel is about. Because man made a tower that allowed him to communicate with God, and he made this tower thanking God as the divine connection. So this scared all the people in space, supposedly, and they came down and brainwashed us and made us forget how to speak, made us forget that tongue of how to talk directly to God. That is the story of the Tower of Babel. But also some other people believe that, these were the Nephilim that came down and did this to us. The Nephilim were the outcast angels. Maybe this was the reason why they were outcast, because they did this to us. The Nephilims were the ones that brought war, pestilence, and death to earth. Same name as Magog. The 13 bloodlines claim to be descended from the Nephilim and Cain, the first murdering son. So now you get a clear picture of the lies. Now this picture, my cousin Ernest Bay helped me paint. And all the propaganda and all the bullshit that they shove down your throat to hide the fact that they like to fuck kids. Hide the fact that they run experiments on kids. So the day when I posted the Project Montauk video and Obama being a Montauk kid, they stopped, whoever it was, they stopped posting on Ernest Bay's page. No one has made a post on that page since. Why? Because whoever killed him and whoever was impersonating him on his Facebook page knew it was a matter of time and knew I knew that I'd figure it out. Project Montauk, Obama, which he probably is a Montauk kid. So he's been part of Project Montauk for a very long time. It makes a lot of sense. Because ask yourself this question. Did you know who the fuck Obama was during the Bush administration? Did you know who the fuck Obama was before somebody told you, hey, have you heard there's a black man running for president? No! None of you, not one goddamn person can tell me this. Because technically, there was no Obama before this. It's like they just dropped him out of time. Boom! Here's your black president. And then for all the people that wanted to look into his background and all of this stuff, where he came from and where he was born, there's the whole conspiracy theory that he wasn't born in the United States. He's Indonesia. His Hawaiian birth certificate's fake. All his background information is fake. All of this leading up to having Project Montauk have more validity of who he is and what he is part of. The most secret, the most blacked out government project ever run by fucking black money Nazis that have been doing experiments on the human race under full disclosure, calling themselves aliens. And all they do is kidnap kids and fuck them and fuck up their heads, fuck up their minds. These are children. Ernest Bay exposed this. He exposed their pedophile, Luciferian, fucking child-sacrificing witchcraft community. I'm not going to even get into how many kids died in Spring Branch when I was growing up. Did you ever hear about the doctor that painted his whole house green, painted all the windows, and killed his whole family? That was in the neighborhood where I grew up. Did you ever hear about the two kids that were kissing on Enclave and dating and always went there and they got found beheaded and their heads were never found? That was in Spring Branch, Enclave, where I grew up. I'm trying to tell you that I grew up in a neighborhood where the Nazis were relocated to the United States and lived in Spring Branch. In the wealthy neighborhoods all over, and there were tons of murders. There was even rumors of cults. If you haven't heard of Blue Light Cemetery, look it up. It's real. It's where an old occultist witch was buried on this land. Where on this land, they used to keep slaves there. It was a stopping point in between Katy, Texas, and Houston. And all of a sudden, all these people, mainly the slave owners, would just die. They couldn't explain it. And anytime people would stop on this land, they would die. And so eventually the government closed off this land and a cult started doing rituals there. And this land is owned by the government now. It is a piece of land in Spring Branch that is completely closed off and there is nothing on it. The only thing that's on it is the witch's grave. This is Houston, Texas. This is the truth about it. The most hidden, the most government closed up shit because of what NASA has been doing to women and kids, and it mainly started here in Texas and all around these fucking Nazis where they live, protected by the CIA. So, my cousin Ernest Bay's dead. I blew the cover off what they did to him and I let him know I'm on to your ass. So they got time jumping, time traveling motherfuckers, you know, that you just poof, drop in. And here you go, you're him and him and him and him. And then when people do research and get too close to the truth, they come up dead. These motherfuckers don't give a fuck about who they kill. Obama proved that by signing the Monsanto's Act. He's a fucking killer. I mean, him signing the Monsanto's Protection Act completely proves that that man wants to put America into death row. Food is life. Food is the essence of what we are, and it sustains us. This company poisons the earth, poisons the vegetables and the fruit that we eat, poisons the cows that we drink the milk from, poisons the soy. Poisons the fucking soy. That's a direct attack on vegetarians, because most of the activists and people that are aware are vegetarians. So then they attack us by poisoning our soy and taking over the soy crops. And that's it. Mr. Killer Obama protects this company. Wants to say, nah, y'all be a bunch of stupid niggas. The word nigga means ignorant. So I'm going to step over here and protect this company that's trying to kill you. Has a proven track record since Roundup has been being used. Cancer and all other kind of diseases in America have run rampant. And America is now the sickest country on the face of the earth because of Monsanto's. But Obama wants to protect Monsanto's. One of the things Ernest Bay did do is he talked so much shit about Obama. He exposed Obama was a fucking Muslim. He called Obama a bitch. He said Obama was in the pocket of the fucking Illuminati. So why do you think he's dead? Why do you think other family members in my Nuwabi and Moore family are dead? And then you got replacements walking around just like they did with Ernest Bay until I caught his ass. And Sent the Truth told the Moors, hey, this is what they did to your boy. Now I'm going to post this video on their wall so they can really hear my hypothesis. They killed him a long time ago, replaced him to infiltrate the White Dragon, and probably they had an idea to replace other members in that society. So when he came back, that wasn't him. Everybody knows it was kind of funny. But he had to keep up the image of being Mr. Truth Bay, right? When he came back and changed his name to Ernest Rothschild, the big R, huh? I thought that was kind of funny. So anyway, wake up, look at the alien ship for what it is. Aliens aren't gonna fucking travel millions of miles to cut up cows. Stick a probe up your ass, because after they kidnap you, they brainwash you and made you forget. And say if you ever do remember this, you will see grays and aliens. Going back to Project Montauk and the programming, the psychological programming, they say that they did this to kids. This eternal lasting orgasm so they could implant memories and messages, because they're completely open. You'll go for anything when you're in that state. So they implant memories and whatever they want, and then make you forget, and train you, and design you, and make you a killer, and put fucking code words in so they can walk up on you and tap you on the shoulder and say a word, or call you on the phone and you hear a certain beep, 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 and then you're under their control. or somebody calls you and says a specific word, and then boom, you're under their control, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even remember. Project Montauk. Now, the bottom line is, would our government spend millions and millions of dollars paying people in Hollywood to put out these bullshit stories about aliens and grays to cover up the fact that they're experimenting on kids, that they're taking kids for black ops programs, that they're raping kids, that they're sacrificing kids in their sacrificial rituals, and all of this to prolong their evil-ass demonic bloodline because, gee, like these KKK stupid-ass inbred motherfuckers like to say, stick to your own kind. What, you want us to be like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie that are cousins? You want us to be like, Kate and William that are cousins? Fuck your cousin. The fact is, the further away from your race and your bloodline that you make love to, the stronger, more beautiful that being is. Perfect example. Look at Brazil. Look at Brazil. When you look at Brazil, you are looking at a melting pot of beautiful people. That's it. The most beautiful woman in the world, that in my opinion right now, Adriana Lima, Brazil. Victoria's Secret, the Brazilian models run that shit. And then all of these other fucking companies with all these skinny, sick, bulimic, and they're not pretty models, hate on Victoria's Secret, but they can't dispute that these Brazilian women are more beautiful than any of their girls. Adriana Lima just did Prada, and how long has she been in this shit? I mean, they clearly, in the fashion industry world, hate on dark-skinned women. Bottom line. And that's proven with Adriana Lima, which is, she's the most beautiful woman in the world. And she just did Prada? Look at all the other models. They're fucking sick, skinny, it's just, come on, man. The fashion world run by Nazis. So anyways, thank you for your time. R.I.P. Ernest Bay. R.I.P. Aaron Russo. Oh, and by the way, IRS that was started by the Rothschild Federal Reserve Bank, fuck you. There is no law in existence that says America should pay tax on their work. The CIA is a thuggish, Nazi, gangsterist, bullshit organization. Bottom line, they killed Aaron Russo for exposing them with his movies and films called American Fascism. So another reason, let me point out why the Nazis had to come to America, because hey, Rothschilds couldn't keep it under control. They needed something big, something secret. They needed a big killer. They needed big death. They needed something big to wipe out and disclose anything that they ever do. And mainly to the sovereign people and the people that expose their shit. Like this. So I've never heard anybody put it together in such a rounded way like this. And I hope people listen. If they don't, oh well. I'm doing this for God, and I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for the people that choose to listen and open up and truthfully see what's going on. All of these other people jacked into the TV and listen to Jay-Z and Beyonce and sucking the tit of Kim Kardashian while having Kanye West fucking ass, in their face. Fuck them. They're going to go down with them. And then they're going to ask, what happened? That's if they still living. So anyway, love, respect, and peace. And to the truthers, bless each and every one of you, but don't believe the bullshit. Don't believe the hype. And especially if it's fed to you through Hollywood, that's some bullshit. It's like they always do. It's what they've always done. It's how they do it. Peace. A government agent, because Ernest Bay was senior administrator of the Five Star Trust at the time when they tried to kill him. That is the bank of the CIA. That is actually too much power for any man to have. He was on the Trilateral Commission. He was a man that stood up for what he believed, and also Aboriginal rights. And because he knew the law, and he knew that no European law bounded him to anything, which is true because he's an Aboriginal, and he can prove his sovereignty throughout the world. Now, what I want you to understand is he's my fourth cousin from my mother's Moor side of the family. So, basically what I truthfully think they did is they killed him when they said he poisoned him. Then he stayed on Facebook to basically, weed out some contacts and to probably get some account information so the Rothschilds could completely take over all his money and have his Sith do the same and invade his family. So he disappeared for almost, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2. Nobody heard from him, and then he came back. But after he came back, it just wasn't right, and then he changed his name to Ernest Rothschild, which is he spelled it Rauthschilds, which the German pronunciation of Rothschilds is spelled Rothschilds. So, anyways, from studying about this, it turns out that the German Nazi Rothschilds just basically stole the name from the original sovereign family. But that really doesn't matter at this point. The point is his death and what they did, that he came back, and a lot of his friends were complaining about his posts, his attitude, things like this. It just didn't seem like him. I just got I just got told that another close friend sent him some very good business investments, and it was very strange because they were sure when a lot of money could have been made. And that's very strange for Ernest not to do anything about it. So I explained to her what I had figured out and what they had done. And so after I exposed what they had did, what the CIA, what the Rothschilds had did to Ernest Bay on Ernest Bay's own Facebook page, they just disappeared. The funny thing is, the Rothschild's last post was after I made the post about Obama and the Montauk Project. Ernest Bay quit posting after that. So, let me explain to you exactly what the Montauk Project is and how once I got wind of that, whoever was impersonating Mr. Bay, they knew the gig was up. Because they knew once I started looking into Project Montauk, I would be able to figure out exactly what they had done. Now, Project Montauk, and I will post the videos up under this video so you can watch them yourself. It's so you just don't have to go on my word. You can listen to other people that say they were part of the project, other people's fathers that were on the Philadelphia experiment, the Philadelphia Experiment Project. Now, one of the most disturbing things that they revealed is that our government, the U.S. government, has had a time machine since 1947. Capability of time travel. Now, I know I was talking about Ernest Bay, but I really want you to understand fully this concept, whether it is true or not. The fact is, there was a real Philadelphia project. That's a fact. The fact is, there was a real Project Montauk. These are facts. The facts are that we, the American public, are not told about these black programs and these blackout programs. Another fact is that I grew up with a relocated son of a Nazi in Spring Branch, Texas. My friend Chris was raped by his father. His father was the son of a relocated Nazi scientist, worked at NASA, and Chris's father worked at NASA until my mother exposed to her friends around the neighborhood that Chris's father was beating and raping him. And this is why this young little blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid had to stay at an Afro-American home because none of the other white parents would help him in this rich neighborhood. We lived in a very rich neighborhood, but we lived in the neighborhood that wasn't so wealthy, where the people that worked for all these rich people would live. So in my videos, the replacements, I more than cover all of this, so you can go back and listen to them. They're on my channel. The replacements 1, 2, and 3, I get more in depth into Chris and expose what they did in the neighborhood where I lived, what the rich Freemasons working for the CIA and the government did to suppress me and did to suppress a fucking relocated Nazi scientist. Now, I really want you to understand about Ernest Bay, Project Montauk, and my past having to deal with Nazis relocated to the United States and us being both Hello, beautiful people. It is April 6th on a sunny Sunday in Houston, Texas, where I just decided to do another video because, I don't know, I like recording because you never know when something will happen. Honestly, the next day is not promised for any of us. And I was just recently talking to a friend about a dear friend of hers and my cousin who passed away. Now, his name was Ernest Bay. And, well, I'd like to clear up some things about him. Well, for the most part, let me explain to you what I think they did when they killed him. Now, Ernest, what I do know is he claimed that he was poisoned somewhere, I guess, in China or an Asian country. Don't remember specifics, but it was an old Chinese remedy that saved his life. And this was 3 months after we met. Everyone was worried that he died or that he was sick. Took him about a month to recover. Then he came back. He stayed for about 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Then he said he was going to retire. So then he disappeared from Facebook. Nobody heard from him. He just disappeared. So let me tell you what I actually think happened during that time period. I actually think that they killed Ernest Bay. The first time when he said he was poisoned, he didn't survive. And what they actually did was they replaced him with probably a clone they had been grooming since the Philadelphia Project. And it's based off what Nikola Tesla did but did not finish because he didn't like what they were doing with the project. And he wanted to really try to do a good job and make sure things were accurate and people wouldn't get hurt and his technology wouldn't be used or perverted. So Nikola Tesla actually was the first person to work on the Philadelphia Project. But then, they fired him. So that's one thing most people don't know about Tesla. So Tesla was free energy, and Tesla actually built the first working time machine, but they didn't know it was a time machine at the time. It took the scientists and other people that came after Tesla to figure out what it was and what they could do with it besides making a ship invisible to radar. That's initially what the Philadelphia Project was about. It was about making something being cloaked. But Nikola Tesla was on the verge of something completely different. Now, when you watch the Philadelphia Project, the movie, basically in a nutshell, you see a ship disappearing from one time to another time. So supposedly that time was 1948. So that's a year after Nikola Tesla supposedly, left the project. So what people have actually hypothesized was 1948 and 1984, there were two parallel rifts created between these times, and the people from 1948 showed up in 1984. And this is one of the government's biggest secrets. So after this happened, they started to look at this